All right, then. Welcome to the Sunday service. Tonight's poem is the Ballad of Hank the Finn. Now, Fireman Flynn met Hank the Finn where lights of Lustland glow. Let's leave, says he, the lousy sea and give the land a show. I'm fed up to the molar mark with wallop in the brine. I feel the bloody barnacles are carking on me spine. Let's hit the hard-boiled north a crack where creeks are paved with gold. You can count me in, says Hank the Finn. I do as I been told. And so they sought the lonely land and drifted down its stream, where sunny silence round them spanned, as dopey as a dream. But to the spell of flood and fell, their gold-grimed eyes were blind. By pine and peak they paused to seek, but nothing did they find. No yellow glint of dust to mint, just mud and mocking sand, and a hateful hush that seemed to crush them down on every hand. Till Fireman Flew grew mean as sin and cursed his comrade cold, but Hank the Finn would only grin and do as he was told. Now Fireman Flynn had pieces 10 of yellow Yankee gold, which every night he would invite his partner to behold. Look hard, says he, it's all you'll see in this God-blasted land. But don't you fret, I'm gonna let you hold them in your hand. Yeah, watch 'em glean, then go and dream. They're yours to have and hold. Then Hank the Finn would scratch and chin and do as he was told. But every night by campfire light, he'd incubate his woes and fan the hate of mate for mate. The evil Arctic knows. In dreams, the Lapland witches gloom like gargoyles overhead, while the devils 3 of Helsinki came cowering by his bed. Go take, said they, the yellow loot he's clinking in his belt, and leave the sneaking wolverines to snout around his pelt. Last night he called you Swedish scum from out the glory hole. Today he said you were a bum and damned your mother's soul. Go plug with lead his scurvy head and grab his greasy gold. Then Hank the Finn saw the red within and did as he was told. So in due course, the famous force of men who get their man swooped down on sleeping Hank the Finn and popped him in the can. And in due time, his grievous crime was judged without a plea, and he was dated up to swing upon the gallows tree. Then sheriff gave a party in the law's almighty name. He gave a necktie party, and he asked me to the same. There was no hooch a-flowing, and party wasn't gay, for our hearts were heavy at the dawning of the day. There was no band a-playing, and the only dancing there was Hank the Finn's interpreting his solo on the air. We climbed the scaffold steps and stood beside the knotted rope. We watched the hooded hangman with his eyes were dazed with dope. The sheriff was in evening dress. A bell began to toll, a beastly bell that struck a knell of horror to the soul. As if the doomed one myself, I shuddered waiting there. I spoke no word, then I heard his step upon the stair. his halting foot moccasin clad, and then I saw him stand between a weeping warder and a priest with cross in hand. And at the sight a murmur rose of terror and of awe, and all them hardened gallows fans were sick at what they saw. For as he towered above the mob, his limbs with leather triced, by all that's wonderful, I swear, his face was that of Christ. Now, I ain't no blaspheming cuss, so don't you start to shout. You see, his beard had grown so long it framed his face about. His rippling hair was long and fair. His cheeks were spirit pale. His face was bright with holy light that made us wince and quail. He looked at us with eyes ashine, and sore we were confused, as if he were the judge divine and we were the accused. Aye, as serene he stood between the hangman and the cord, you would have sworn with anguish torn he was the blessed Lord. The priest was wet with icy sweat, the sheriff's lips were dry, and we were staring starkly at the man who had to die. Lo, I am raised above you all, his pale lips seemed to say, for in a moment I shall leap to God's eternal day. Am I not happy? I forgive you each for what you do. Redeemed and penitent I go, with heart of love for you. And so there he stood in mystic mood, with scorn sublime of death. I saw him gently kiss the cross, and then I held my breath. That blessed smile was blotted out. They dropped the hood of black. They fixed the noose around his neck. The rope was hanging slack. I heard him pray. I saw him sway. Then he was not there. A rope, a ghastly yellow rope, was jerking in the air, a jigging rope that soon was still, a hush as of the tomb. And Hank the Finn, that man of sin, had met his rightful doom. His rightful doom? Now that's the point I'm wondering, because I hold a man is what he is and never what he was. You see, the priest had filled that guy so full of holy dope that at last he came to die as pious as the Pope. A gentle ray of sunshine made a halo round his head. I thought to see a sinner. Lo, I saw a saint instead. Aye, and as he stood as martyr stand, clean cleansed of mortal dross, I think he might have gloried had we nailed him to a cross. The Ballad of Hank the Finn by Robert Service. Thank you and good night.